Hey everybody, it's GeoWare. It's been a long time, but here's the latest episode of I Have No Idea What the Fuck. Sorry to have y'all waiting. Reason why I'm doing this intro is because I was riding my bike and there was a lot of wind. So there's going to be some points where the wind is like really, really strong for like several seconds. So adjust your volume accordingly and hopefully it doesn't take away from the experience of what I'm about to talk about. It's a really dope ass topic. Peace.
I have no idea what the
You gotta focus in on the heart, man. What do you want in your heart? What makes your heart soar? In Sanskrit, the heart chakra, which is located in the center of the chest where the thymus gland is, it's represented by the element of air. And in Egyptian spiritual science, the heart is weighed against a feather. When you leave the physical body, the spiritual principle known as Osiris fucking weighs your heart against a feather, and if it's lighter than a feather, then you go into heaven. And what that's supposed to symbolize is that you have to live your life light as a feather. You can't let circumstances that actually are created by the unseen realms act like that they're the origin of your life. You can't act like that at all. So essentially, hey, y'all mind if I get ahead of you? Excuse me. So you have to literally decide what you want to do based on what makes you come alive, what makes you feel light. Literally, what makes the feather of your heart take off into the air and just float effortlessly. And so that's pretty much been my focus. And usually, the doubts come in, and the doubts are, they stop you from flying, man. They stop. It's so funny how the parallels, the esoteric symbolism is across the board in entertainment, in spiritual science, all that. If you're familiar with the Peter Pan, what happens? How do they fly? They get the fairy dust, but they still can't fly until they think positive thoughts. When they think positive thoughts, not just positive thoughts, shit that literally lifts their vibration up into a whole new level. So they call them happy thoughts. Something that's like when you think about someone or something that just makes your heart take off, that's when you fly. And so the heart, I'm just gonna rant about the heart a little bit. The heart creates, meaning like not just the physical heart, but the literal center of the chest, but also the physical heart, generates a powerful electromagnetic field. Now, for those of you that don't know, there's a research center called HeartMath in the northwest United States that does research on the energetics of the heart and how it affects everyone. The EM or electromagnetic field of the heart, because the human beings, the way we animate our bodies is through electricity and electromagnetism. So the electromagnetic field of the heart is several thousand times more powerful than the electromagnetic field generated by the brain. And you're like, what? It's crazy. Also, another fun fact, when the sperm and the egg combine, after a few weeks, the first organ to develop is the heart. And then from the heart comes the tongue. I'm gonna go around you guys, okay? Thank you. Come on through. No, man. Just communicating. Yeah, you gotta be real sharp. You out here, man. It's so crazy. Just as an aside, how few people can just say, excuse me, or hey man, let me get around, or anything like that. So few people do that. They either just push their way through, or they just sit there frustrated that the other person won't move. It's really interesting. Instead of saying, hey, excuse me, here I'm coming, it's like, so funny. I honestly don't, sometimes I don't even know what people's, don't even know.
She should have fucking left.
Oh boy. Oh boy. Oh shit. Hey, we getting the real and the raw in this podcast. I literally don't know what people's intentions are when they drive. I'm so fucking suspicious of people when they drive, because you never know when, just gonna keep it a buck, you never know when the idiot switch will go on and they'll just do something haywire. It happens. I've done it. The idiot switch goes on. I'm sure you've done it. But you try to be as alert as possible and conscious and mindful as possible. But anyway, from the heart comes the tongue. And guess why speaking your heart, speaking the truth in your heart is absolutely essential to spiritual success in your life, meaning living your life exactly as you want to. So that's how the human body is formed, literally. So another thing about the heart that I'd like to share with you, you must follow the heart, because the heart is the first chakra, where the first chakra coming from the bottom, where there is timelessness, because the heart is literally about eternity. It's outside of time. Time is relative. The root chakra has to do with your connection to the earth, your body, your physical body. It has a lot more to do with your physical body than the connection to the earth. The earth star chakra, which is deep within the earth, has more to do with your connection to the earth and being literally tethered to it by gravity. Your root chakra has more to do with the connection to your physical body than just the earth itself. And feeling alive in the physical body, being your spirit being completely, or your consciousness being completely alive within the physical body, and then also being connected to a tribe of people. So being connected to a group of people where that helps you to, kind of define your physical existence. The sacral is about more personal relationships. The solar plexus chakra is about your identity, your personal, intellectual, mental identity. Your personal reason why you're here, why you are the way you are, what makes you unique. And then the heart is, okay, now that you got all that down, now you need to connect with people outside of time. You need to connect with people, that's where, that's why you dissolve the past. That's why you don't project into the future. Love is eternal. And so, I'm gonna go on your left, guys. Yep. So love is eternal. It doesn't define itself by the physical body, by separation. The love is about unity and dissolving the illusion of separation in your mind. The mind is still there, the intellect is still there, meaning like the solar plexus is still there, but it is not dominant. The dominant energy is the energy of the heart. And so the heart is eternal. And so the thing I realized about the heart is that when you activate your heart chakra in balance with your other chakras, especially starting from the bottom, now people will awaken them whatever order they need to. But if you start from the bottom, what you'll start to do is you'll start to activate timeless DNA. The heart, what it does is it essentially awakens your connection to your ancestors. I would even argue your descendants as well, your potential descendants. So, ooh, you all right? You okay?
I'm so good.
Okay, all right. So it connects you to your ancestors. And somebody fell. That's why I was asking if they're all right. It connects you to your ancestors and your potential descendants. That's my belief. I think it's across the board. So even if you never have children, and even if none of your siblings ever have children, or if you're an only child and you never have children, still it connects you to those possible and potential descendants, because we're talking about quantum mechanics here, which is the science of possibilities. So also what the heart does is it connects you to an ancient version of what we would now classify as religion, but it's not religion at all. The science and art of what we call the goddess is in the heart as well. The goddess is it's not just it's not something to undermine men. It is a science and an art that is meant to remind us of the ancient, quote unquote, religion of the heart. The goddess, the way it used to work, and I'm just going to tell you a story. The way it used to work was the tribes would worship the goddess. The goddess is that which is the heart. So the heart is always honoring unity and connection, because the nature of woman is connection, tend and befriend. That's the psycho-instinctual commonality of the feminine physiology and psychology. So what we have is what we have here is the ancient tribes used to worship the goddesses, because the goddesses were the ones who reminded the tribe to remain in their heart and to remember that everything is one, that we're all unified. There's no reason for separation, and that was the law. That's why the goddess was worshipped, because the goddess always represented connection, tribal connection, and in many cases, like the octave from the root chakra is the heart, and the octave from the heart is the crown, and which has to do with music. So in music, vibration, it's all connecting. So the religion of the goddess was there to just remind the tribe to keep their heart awakened. The thing about it is, there was an element or an influence of intellect that was more advanced than the consciousness of the heart. Not the intrinsic consciousness of the heart, but the understanding of the heart by humans was more rudimentary or more basic than the intellectual consciousness that came in. Meaning, like going by the mind, going by the ego. It was much more. The ego is about being clever. The mind is about being clever. The heart is not about being clever. The heart is just about being. But because being clever was not integrated into mass human consciousness, we didn't understand what being clever was. We were just being ourselves and being truthful and being honest and honoring the goddess, and the goddess was the law. As long as the goddess was the law, then everybody would honor each other and there would be no major problems, because truth was always honored. However, when the separation or intellect consciousness came in, and it was a little bit, it shook the old ways, because it was clever. It could go, because the heart kind of, it's like when it's not developed, it'll take things at face value. It doesn't understand that you must have the mind developed. You must understand cleverness. And this is, I'm going all over the place, but this is where compassion, this is where compassion comes in from the gurus today. Compassion is knowing the wiles of the mind, but still choosing the way of the heart, and letting the heart guide the mind, letting the heart use the mind's cleverness to not just navigate this world, but to transcend the ways of the mind that everyone else is a slave to, and to operate on a whole different frequency. So that's where the intelligence of the heart gets deepened. That's why the intellectual consciousness came in. It was to deepen the intelligence of the heart and to create something that we now call compassion. So the religion, the heart, the thymus, which is also called the ancient heart, connects you to your ancestors. It connects you to your potential descendants. In my opinion, that's my theory. And because I think it just connects all generations and it activates DNA. But connecting you to your ancestors and your potential descendants is the same thing as activating DNA. You'll have memories. You'll start living the karma of your ancestors. Your ancestors will start talking to you through your physical body. You'll start getting guidance. And it's not this woo-woo thing. It's that certain aspects of your DNA are awakening to help you navigate through your life. Because the life that you're living right now is a holographic, I talked about holographic duplicates before, and I think I need to do a whole podcast on this. But the life that you're living now is a holographic duplicate of all your ancestors. And I would again, your descendants as well, I believe. Your descendants will be living a holographic duplicate of your life. So every struggle that you're going through, every karmic problem that you have is a result of the holographic duplicate of how your ancestors lived their lives. Their fears, their struggles, their downfalls, their uplifting moments, everything. And you're living a holographic duplicate of that. Or as you could say it in more common terms, your life is symbolic of theirs. So that's how that works. So when you connect to the heart, you're connected to the ancestors, you're connecting to the ancient religion of the goddess, you're reawakening the ancient religion of the goddess. And the thing about the goddess is your heart. The goddess is your ancestors. Meaning like the god, let's talk about it in terms of like computers, right? The goddess is an algorithm that makes all computers work really good, right? Once you activate that algorithm, once you click on it, do you want to download? Then you say yes. All of a sudden, your computer is optimized to be connected to all forms of information that you can draw in without having to seek it by using only the physical body. You can use it. You can find the information in your heart. If you literally look within your heart, which generates a more powerful electromagnetic field than the brain, and electromagnetic energy, scientists will tell you, contains information. So if it generates a more powerful field than the brain, then it contains more information than the brain. Let's get it right. Now I'm interchanging between the thymus and the cardium. So the thymus is the gland that sits in the center of your chest. The cardium is what we understand as the physical heart. So I really believe you can use them interchangeably to a certain degree, but the science of the heart is essentially the same. The art of the heart is essentially the same. The religion of the heart is essentially the same. Religion just means to link back. It could mean to bind. It could bind you, or it could link you to. It could bind you in something, or it could integrate you into becoming larger, into becoming a larger consciousness. So it goes both ways. Religion can go both ways. It can enslave you or it can free you. When it frees you, then you can let it go. But that's essentially how the heart works. So I said all that to make the case and point that when you follow the wisdom of the heart, which is your ancestors, which is the ancient religion of the goddess is your heart, your ancestors are your heart, it's activated DNA. When you follow that wisdom and how to navigate this world, that's why the heart is king. Now, the heart seems to go against common sense and everything because what happens is the intellectual consciousness that attempted to thwart the consciousness of the heart, it goes by pure, it goes by 5 sense reality. And if I can experience those things, then that means it exists. But then nobody thinks about who's the I that's experiencing them. That I is not physical. So when you get into the heart, you start understanding there is a world beyond the five senses that I can experience, and I can get information from that, and I can experience other senses from that as well. Third eye is responsible for that as well, but we're talking about the heart. So the heart understands that everything's timeless. Everyone has existed before. The life that we're living is a holographic duplicate of our ancestors and descendants. And what is a holographic duplicate? Again, I'll do a podcast on that. But this time, this is a time where, for me, I'm realizing I need to follow my heart. What makes me fill up with light? What makes my heart lighter than air? I'm following that. And usually the intellect will come in, you shouldn't do that. That doesn't make sense. That's not common sense. That doesn't work. And you just have to say, fuck you. You got to be like, yo, man, I hear you. I get you. But I followed you so many times before. And whenever I follow your advice, it just takes me right back around to the same point where I'm not satisfied, I'm not happy. And for me, if happiness is the goal of your life, meaning to be happy with the way you're living your life, the heart is the way to go. A lot of people, that's not their goal. So following the heart is not something that they elect to do or think that is useful. But for me, being happy in my life and happy with the way I'm living my life is absolutely essential. Plus, the way that I've been living it is I've been living as less than who I believe, who I know myself to be. But the main point of the podcast was realizing the visceral and enteric nervous system experience of breaking an old paradigm. I've listened to Bob Proctor for a long time, and he'll talk about breaking paradigms. And it used to be something where I thought it was just a mental thing, and you just get past it, and you move past it. But I realized that working through the physical experience is absolutely essential. Like when you're breaking through a paradigm and you're working through the physical experience, that's absolutely essential. Like everything that I'm going through now, you have to completely embrace and be like, this is part of the process, and be humble. I'm not like I used to be a little bit, oh, I got this, I can create my own reality. But if you're trying to create your own reality from the mind, you could literally create anything, but you have no basis, you have no root from which to create. That's why the heart chakra is the octave of the root, because it is the root for the spiritual realm. So once you live in the spiritual realm, the root chakra of the spiritual realm is the heart. So that's how it works. And essentially, that's why you want to follow the heart. It's not going to make sense to you. Your friends are going to make fun of you. Everybody's going to say, fuck you, why the fuck are you doing that, you stupid asshole? And you're just going to have to go by what's within. You cannot go by what's without. The heart is the first time you actually turn within and say, you know what, man, I see all that, I'm aware of all that, but this is what's calling me. And I'm not saying that it's going to work out the way that I think it should, but I know that if I follow my heart, everything's going to work out. And I don't know when, I don't know how, I don't know why, but I just know that it will. And that's what the heart is all about, man. And I'm scared as shit, but I also realize that it's the right way to go. It is right. It is right. It is right. And it's the only way that I've wanted to live for my whole life. And with that said, I'm concluding this rant. And there you go. Bye.